Heading into basically every single NHL draft, there is usually a consensus on who the top picks are going to be, and while those top picks are extremely important and can easily turn around a franchise, however, I do feel like a lot of people undervalue the importance of late first round picks and even second and third round picks. Recent examples of guys who turned out to be absolute steals are Braden Point, Sebastian Aho, and Alex DeBrincat, who were all selected outside of the first round. In this video, I want to take a look at some players from both the 2018 and the 2019 NHL drafts that don't really have a lot of NHL experience yet, if any at all, that I personally think are already looking like potential steals. The players we're taking a look at in today's video were all selected outside of the top 20 of the previous two NHL drafts. Since I already spoiled him in the thumbnail, let's begin with Nick Robertson, who the Toronto Maple Leafs selected in the second round with the 53rd overall pick in the 2019 NHL draft. Although it is still early and we haven't seen much at all from 95% of the prospects selected in the 2019 draft, if there was a redraft, there is no way Nick Robertson would fall to the second round. And when talking about things from the past, especially when it comes to sports and drafting, hindsight is always 2020, and nobody could have predicted the jump that Nick Robertson was going to make from his draft year where he put up 55 points in 54 games, 27 of them being goals, to the 2019-20 season with the Peterborough Petes where he scored 55 goals and put up 86 total points in 46 games. Had the season not been cancelled due to the pandemic, he easily would have cracked the 60 goal mark. Obviously, Robertson is a very skilled and gifted player, but one of my favorite things about him is how much he loves the game and how dedicated to the sport he really is. I'll read off some tweets by Stephen Ellis that really puts this into perspective. Prior to the NHL draft, I set up an interview with Nicholas Robertson. He said he'd call me around 10:30 a.m. He called at 8 a.m. He was too eager to talk hockey and had already been up for quite a bit watching highlights. This kid absolutely loves the sport. Tonight will be cool, talking about his NHL debut the other night with the Maple Leafs. Another tweet says, of all the prospects I've talked to in the past few years, few have ever seemed so enthusiastic about an early morning interview, but he just loves talking about hockey. He was even giving scouting reports on other prospects, chatting about obscure names. He's a complete hockey nerd. Nick Robertson wants to be a great player, and when you consider the mentality he has and how dedicated he is, with the skill that he already has, I don't see any reason why he doesn't turn out to be a fantastic player. And although he has been relatively quiet in the first two playing games against the Columbus Blue Jackets, you can tell the skill is there. He has a very hard wrist shot no matter where he's shooting from. He's also an extremely quick player. He's hard on the forecheck, very hard working, and a prospect that I definitely think any team in the league would love to have affiliated with their team. Moving along now to the next player, we have Nils Lundqvist, who was selected in the first round with the 28th overall pick in the 2018 NHL draft by the New York Rangers. That draft was headlined by a ton of amazing defensive prospects. Rasmus Dahlin was selected with the first overall pick by the Buffalo Sabres, and then you had guys like Quinn Hughes, Adam Boqvist, Evan Bouchard, and Noah Dobson as well. But I honestly would not be too surprised if Nils Lundqvist becomes one of the best defenders out of the group of players I just mentioned, probably with the exception of Rasmus Dahlin and Quinn Hughes. I won't get too ahead of myself considering he has yet to see any NHL action. He did, however, have a pretty incredible 2019-20 season. On one of the very best teams in the SHL, Lundqvist finished with 31 points in 45 games, breaking the record for the most points by an under-20 defenseman in league history. Throughout the season, passing over players like Rasmus Dahlin, who, like I said, was the first overall pick in the 2018 NHL draft, and Victor Hedman. Albeit those two players were in the NHL by the time they were Nils Lundqvist's age, it's still some pretty good company. Lundqvist also had a fantastic 2020 World Junior Tournament for Team Sweden, who won bronze, finishing over a point per game with a goal and 7 assists for 8 points in 7 games. So far so good, and it definitely seems like he's on the right course to becoming a great NHL player. And if he pans out, and then the Rangers have other youngsters on the team like Kaapo Kakko, Vitaly Kravtsov, Keandre Miller, Philip Hedl, and Igor Shesterkin, that is a pretty fantastic young core. Next up, we have another Swedish prospect, Nils Hoglander, who was selected in the second round with the 40th overall pick in the 2019 draft by the Vancouver Canucks. Although a little bit undersized, standing at just 5'8", we have seen over the past couple of seasons that size really doesn't matter all that much when it comes to Vancouver Canucks prospects. Back when Elias Pettersson was set to come over to the NHL, everyone pointed to his weight, saying he was too small and that he was going to get bullied at the NHL level, and as we all know, he turned out to be just fine. And I'm not saying Nils Hoglander is the next Elias Pettersson. What I'm trying to say is just because he's 5'8", it doesn't mean anything. He's gonna be fine. Like Nils Lundqvist, Hoglander also spent the 2019-20 season in the Swedish Hockey League, where he scored 9 goals and had 16 total points in 41 games. Not numbers that necessarily jump out at you, but where he really impressed everyone was at the 2020 World Junior Tournament. Hoglander was dominant for Team Sweden, scoring 5 goals and putting up 11 total points in just 7 games en route to the bronze medal. He even scored a lacrosse goal. He's a super talented player, extremely fun to watch. The Canucks front office gets a lot of heat for draft picks such as Jake Virtanen and Olli Juolevi, but they've also hit on a lot of draft picks, getting guys like Brock Besser in the late first round, Pettersson 5th overall when in a redraft he'd probably go number 1. Getting Quinn Hughes at number 7 in 2018 was an amazing draft pick as well, and who knows, if Nils Hoglander turns out to be the player everyone expects him to be and the player that he has shown flashes of becoming, then maybe one day we'll be able to throw his name into the conversation with some of those other great draft picks the Vancouver Canucks have made over the years. Continuing on, we have Connor McMichael, who was selected in the first round with the 25th overall pick in the 2019 NHL draft. McMichael dominated the 2019-20 season on an absolutely stacked London Knights team, a team that included other prospects such as Ryan Merkley and Liam Foudy, who's actually on the Columbus Blue Jackets playoff roster right now. When you compare McMichael's stats from his draft year to the 2019-20 season, it's exactly the type of jump you want to see from your first round pick. Last season, 36 goals, 72 points, some really good numbers, which is why he was selected in the first round, but this season he took his game to a whole other level, scoring 47 goals and putting up 102 total points in just 52 games. And similar to all the other prospects we talked about in this video, McMichael also had a very impressive showing in the 2020 World Junior Tournament for Team Canada, finishing a point a game through 7 games. And for a guy that is looking to become a good goal scorer at the NHL level, I would say the Washington Capitals are a pretty decent fit, considering he'll be able to learn from, in my opinion, the greatest goal scorer in NHL history. Moving along now, we have Alexander Romanov, who was selected in the second round with the 38th overall pick in the 2018 draft by the Montreal Canadiens. And I know throughout the course of this video you've probably gotten used to watching highlights of these prospects, but unfortunately I won't be able to include any of Alexander Romanov, because last time I tried to include KHL footage in a video, the entire video got striked and taken off of YouTube entirely. Nonetheless, Alexander Romanov is looking like he could turn out to be quite the steal of a second round pick. In TSN's top 50 NHL affiliated prospects they made earlier this year, they had Romanov ranked at number 5, ahead of the likes of Trevor Zegras, Rasmus Sandin, Cole Caulfield, Dylan Cousins, and Alex Turcotte. You guys get the point. He's one of the best prospects the league has right now, and in 43 KHL games this season, he didn't score, but had 7 assists and finished with a plus 21 rating. And like I've said multiple times throughout the video, also had a great showing in the 2020 World Juniors for Russia, although not really known for his offensive game, had 6 points in 7 games. Even though Romanov has yet to make an appearance in the Habs play-in series against the Penguins, I think he is a lock to be on the opening night roster next season, and not only that, I think he'll be a top 4 guy playing a good amount of minutes. Next up we have Villi Hannola, who was selected in the first round with the 20th overall pick in the 2019 NHL draft by the Winnipeg Jets. Villi Hannola is one of only few players from the 2019 draft who already appear in some NHL games, and also one of few to have already scored their first NHL goal. Hannola surprised a lot of people earlier this season, making the Winnipeg Jets out of training camp as an 18-year-old, and not only that, he played very well in the 8 NHL games he appeared in, with a goal and 4 assists for 5 points and a plus 3 rating. Not wanting to burn a year of his entry-level contract, the Winnipeg Jets decided to let Villi Hannola play the remainder of the 2019-20 season in the Liga, and he played 29 games over there and had 7 points. Overall, Villi Hannola looks like he's going to be a pretty solid defenseman for the Jets eventually. If you ask me, the Jets are kind of the perfect fit for Hannola. Considering everything they lost on the blue line over the past year and a half, they could really use another top 4 defenseman, and I think next season he's going to be exactly that for them. And now the final prospect we're going to talk about in today's video, Rasmus Sandin, who was selected in the first round with the 29th overall pick in the 2018 NHL draft by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Similar to what I said when talking about Villi Hannola, I think Toronto is a great fit for a player like Rasmus Sandin, considering the Leafs are a team that could always use more help on the blue line. And sure, he isn't really that shutdown, heavy-hitting defenseman that a lot of people think they need. He is a good, crafty, smooth skating defender. He is extremely extremely skilled and has shown that with the numbers he's put up at the American Hockey League level over the past 2 seasons, 28 points in 2018-19 in 44 games and 15 points in just 21 AHL games this year. He has also played a good chunk of NHL games, appearing in 28 this season, but wasn't ever really able to get that full-time spot on the roster. But with the recent injury to Jake Muzzin and the not so good play of Cody Ceci so far in the Leafs playing series against the Blue Jackets, maybe we will see an appearance from Rasmus Sandin in Game 3. If not, we'll be able to watch Rasmus Sandin at the NHL level a good amount in no time, because I don't see any scenario where he isn't a full-time member of that Maple Leafs blue line next season. And the sooner he develops into a good top 4 defenseman for the Leafs, the better. It would be nice if they could get a couple of quality seasons out of him before that entry-level contract is up. That is going to do it for today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. If there are any other players that were drafted later than pick 20 in the previous 2 NHL drafts that you think could turn out to be a potential steal that I did not talk about in this video, please let me know down below in the comment section. With that being said, if you guys did enjoy today's video, please make sure to go down there and drop a like on it. That is the best way to show your support. And as always, if you guys are new to the channel and you want to see more NHL content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys all in the next video.